Recording in progress.
But we are wearing the same shoes. You can have mine.
Madam Speaker,
There'll now be a moment of silent prayer and meditation. Thank you. May we be seated? I didn't hear that, Mam Kaula. Good morning, honorable members. Order. Honorable members, I've been informed that the minister in the presidency is not available to answer questions today. The minister has requested that the questions stand over in terms of rules 144, subsection 1, subsection A. The scheduling of a date for the questions to be taken will be done in consultation with the programming committee. I thank you. The only item on today's order paper is questions addressed to ministers in the governance cluster. There are 4 supplementary questions on each question. Parties have given an indication of which questions their members wish to pose supplementary questions on. And we've taken due regard of parties' request and have done so in a manner that is fair. The members who will pose supplementary questions will be recognized by the presiding officer. In allocating opportunities to supplementary question, the principle of fairness, among others, have been applied. If a member who is supposed to ask a supplementary question through the virtual platform is unable to do so for technical difficulties, the party whip on duty will be allowed to ask the question on behalf of their member. When all the supplementary questions have been answered by the executive, we will proceed to the next question on the order paper. The first question has been asked, order, honorable members, so that you can hear what the first question is, has been asked by Honorable C. Labaskakne to the Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. The question is about whether he supports the ring fencing of water infrastructure maintenance, particularly in municipalities with poor infrastructure, and will work with the National Treasury on implementing the specified plan. If not, what is the position in this regard? If so, what is the timeline for the plan? Honorable Minister Hlabisa.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker and honorable members. Indeed, on the question asked, we fully agree and support the principle of ring fencing funds for the water infrastructure maintenance, not necessarily on municipalities that have challenges, but all municipalities throughout the country. Honorable Speaker, we have already started this program under MISA. There are municipalities that we are running under Schedule 6B. In these municipalities, Honorable Speaker, we ensure that there is an allocation of money that is ring-fenced to ensure that it is responsible for maintenance. In this current financial year, we have 21 municipalities of that case where we are going to ensure that the principle of ring fencing, the money for maintenance is maintained. Of course, Honorable Speaker, we are ensuring that in all municipalities, although it is not yet compulsory, that they allocate 5% of the MIG allocation for maintenance on water infrastructure. As we are participating in reforms, very soon we will make it compulsory through the change of the legal framework in terms of MIG grants, that every municipality must allocate the minimum of 5% to the maximum of 10% to ensure that every infrastructure is maintained. I can end there, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Hlabisa. Honorable Sila Baskafne.
Thank you, Speaker. Honorable Minister, in addition to this, to implementing this plan, what consequence management will you implement on municipalities with poor infrastructure that will have failed to ring-fence water maintenance spending?
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Once it becomes compulsory, it will be enforced that in every budget that is adopted, there must be a line item that allocates 5% or the maximum of 10%. As I'm speaking, Honorable Speaker, we are on a drive to make all municipalities to adopt funded budgets. And once this is compulsory, we'll ensure that no budget will get approved without this allocation. That will be the first determinant to ensure that it becomes compulsory. Then there will be no need of a consequence management thereafter, because they will not be allowed to cross the first line of adopting a budget without the line function. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The second supplementary question will be asked by Honorable Ndamase.
How is the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs institutionalizing Operation Vulindlela Phase 2 as launched by the President? And what role has the district development model played, if any, in this regard?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. COGTA is actively implementing Operation Vulindlela 2, especially on governance reforms. One of the key initiatives in which we are working together with the National Treasury is metro trading reforms, where we are ensuring that the municipalities at metro level, they are incentivized to ensure that the infrastructure around water, electricity, and waste management is at a good standard. But beyond that, we are actively participating in the promotion of professionalization of public service, because Operation Vulindlela 2 will become a success if the employees are competent employees to execute their duties to the maximum and ensure that the desired goals are achieved. And this is coupled with district development model, because when all three spheres of government are working together, one plan and one budget with competent staff, it is only then that we will be able to see meaningful reforms happening at a local government space. In short, the synergy between DDM model and Operation Vulindlela 2 is what we are championing in conjunction with National Treasury and Public Service Administration. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. I'll now ask Honorable Hendricks.
Honorable Minister, in municipalities where water infrastructure has collapsed or remain critically under-maintained, will your department support a conditional funding framework that ring-fence maintenance budget to prevent diversion and ensure direct service delivery? Furthermore, will you collaborate with National Treasury to implement a time-bound, transparent intervention plan that prioritizes these vulnerable municipalities? If not, what alternative mechanism do you propose to unfold? The constitutional right to clean water and restore dignity to communities long denied it. The Patriotic Alliance maintained that infrastructure justice is non-negotiable. Will you act decisively to deliver? Thanks, Minister.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. As I responded to the main question, we will definitely support the interventions by Treasury to those municipalities that are struggling financially. And as I indicated, that currently we are considering changes. A municipality for 3 consecutive years, if it is failing to spend MIG, we need to compel that municipality to Schedule 6B, because it is people who suffers when money goes back, not the councillors who sleep on duty. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Hlazo Webster.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Minister, given that the National Treasury and your department previously indicated support for ring fencing of portions of municipal equitable share to settle long-standing water debts, can you tell the House whether your department has finalized the framework with Treasury for how this ring fencing will practically operate? And that must include which municipalities would be prioritized and what proportion of transfers will be protected for debt repayment.
Honorable Minister.
Honorable Speaker, that can be a very detailed question to be answered offhand, but I can respond as follows. We are currently cleaning data for all government departments owing municipalities, and all the municipalities owing ESCOM and owing water boards. But the point of departure will be all government departments, national and provincial, must pay municipalities what is due to them. Municipalities must pay what is due to water boards and ESCOM. And thereafter, when there is a need to intervene in certain municipalities to clear their debts. That clarification will be done at that stage. We targeted end of November to finalize the cleaning of the debt between government departments and municipalities. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Siyabonga ngqongqoshe, sidlulela embuzweni wesibili olandelayo obuzwe ilunga elihloniphekile umnumzane ZL Mkhize kungqongqoshe. Umbuzo uthi njengoba umnyango wezamakhosi kanye nomasipala waKwaZulu Natal usuthathe isinqumo nezinhlelo zokuthi unikezele kubaholi bendabuko ipension kanye nokuthi ezempilo zabo zikwazi ukuvikeleka phecelezi healthcare benefits, ngabe izinhlelo zikhona nazo ukuthi lolu hlelo olufana nalolu kwelikaMthaniya lwenzeke kulo lonke lalengabadi? Uma kunjalo, ngabe izikhathi zokuthi lokhu kuzokwenzeka kanjani nini zikhona na? Ngqongqoshe.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. On that question, we noted the decision and the announcement made by KZN COGTA MEC around medical and pension benefits for our traditional leaders. The process in KwaZulu-Natal is still going to undergo the discussion at a provincial executive council. We can only then comment more once it passes that stage. But at a national level, the process is at an advanced stage to benefit all traditional leaders throughout the country. As we know, the issue of benefits in terms of medical aid and pension is under the control of the Commission on Remuneration of Public Office Bearers. This commission has made recommendations to the President. The President was not satisfied. He sent the report back and gave them the end of September 2025. The Commission could not finalize the recommendations, and they requested the 31st of October, which is 2 days from today. I am hopeful the Commission will submit the recommendation to President, and President will reflect and make the final determinations. Once the President has made final determinations, it will be applicable to all traditional leaders throughout the 9 provinces in South Africa. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Siyabonga, isichibiyelo sokuqala salombuzo sizobuzwa ilunga elihloniphekile uMkhize.
Undamase uzawuthatha lo mbuzo, Honorable Mkhize. In light of the benefits to traditional leaders, how is the department planning to ensure that traditional leaders are fully integrated into the local government sphere through the review of the white paper on local government?
Ngqongqoshe.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. COGTA can rate the working relationship with our traditional leaders as excellent. We are fully integrated with our traditional leaders in a number of committees. Whenever there is a MINMEC, the National House is represented. In the Interministerial Committee that deals with the turnaround plan on municipalities, the National House is represented. In the Interministerial Committee dealing with the foodborne illnesses, the National House is represented. In the Interministerial Committee on Local Government Elections, the National House is represented. And we consulted extensively our traditional leaders and all structures in South Africa on the review of the white paper. And more than that, the only organ that made the extension from the end of May to July was the House of Traditional Leaders, who requested more time to make substantive contributions. And the House made a well-documented submission on how the local government should include the traditional leaders. On that note, therefore, Honorable Speaker, we are working very well to ensure that the traditional institution is taken on board and will participate maximally on changes in the local government space post the white paper review that will be completed in March next year. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Siyabonga ngosho isichibiyelo sesibili salombuzo sizonikezela ilunga elihloniphekile uTB Mabhena.
Siyathokoza ngotsha sithokoze Bulawayo. Umbuzo kuthoma nakho ukuthi given the fact that the discussions in KZN are at an advanced stage and they're still going to be discussed at the provincial level, and we also are encouraged by the fact that the Remuneration Commission is also doing a reconsideration. But then shouldn't we have a framework that would cover nationally, even outside of the Remuneration Commission, where we can standardize? Because my worry is that in KZN seems to be running at a full speed, whereas other provinces are falling way behind. A simple example is that in KZN, we've got an entire directorate dedicated to the upkeep of the Royal Kingdom, but in any other province that doesn't exist. So even currently, we've got a situation where even kings, when they are sick, there's no medical aid, but when they die, the government wants to spend millions of rands burying them. So what we're fighting for, not necessarily what we're fighting for, but what we're asking for, Ebulawa, is that let's have a framework that will cover Limpopo, that will cover Eastern Cape, that will cover Mpumalanga, so that we know that we've got the bases covered in terms of legislation.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Your time is up. Ngongoshe.
Honorable Speaker, I can respond to this question in this way. Once the President pronounces on the recommendations of the Commission, what is happening in KwaZulu-Natal will fall away. So now there is no point in initiating what will fall away when a super decision is made. Because firstly, in terms of the law, the provinces do not have the legal right to initiate this process because it has to be permanent. Once you begin it, you can't terminate it in the middle. And the assurance, if the assurance is the bank, you might have challenges a few years down the line. But make something similar to members of parliament to be applicable to our traditional institutions. Regarding the upkeep of the royal palaces, there is going to be a pronouncement made by the Minister of Finance, as he indicated at the beginning of the year, for all other kings, excluding kings and queens, excluding the king of the Zulu nation. There will be an allocation this year to concentrate on the upkeep of the royal palaces in order to bring parity in terms of royal palaces, in terms of medical schemes, and pensions and all allowances. We are working on that one, Honorable Speaker.
Siyabonga ilunga elizothatha umbuzo isichibiyelo esithathu ilunga ehloniphekile MJ Madudu.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I will take it on his behalf. Honorable Minister, the battle to fight disparities among traditional leadership councils has been an ongoing battle since 1994. And some of the key findings made as the reasons perpetuating these disparities. Firstly is funding for traditional leadership used for political loyalty. People are buying, those who are in authority, they are buying political loyalty of traditional leaders. Secondly, is resistance by political parties who don't believe in the relevancy of traditional leadership. And unfortunately, Minister, you are sitting with some of those political parties within the GNU government. Now, what I want to know from you on behalf of MK Party, how do you plan to deal with those who don't believe in the relevancy of traditional leadership as you try? Because we
Thank
can
you,
see you are trying
Honorable
your level best
Member.
to
Your
deal with
time
these
is up.
parties. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Honorable Minister.
On a lighter note, Honorable Speaker, the President of the party, my honorable member is speaking on behalf, had an opportunity to rectify this problem. He didn't do it. So now, no, I said on a lighter note. Okay,
Let's not debate that. Minister, can you proceed? Order, honorable members.
Now, Honorable Speaker, there is a unanimous view across all political parties in this House. Those who are in government and those who are in opposition, we met the House of Traditional Leaders with all representatives in Johannesburg and all political parties in the opposition, in governance, agreed that it is time to fix the long outstanding issues of traditional leaders. So I'm confident that all parties are gonna see to it that this matter is resolved. It's long overdue.
Bese isichibiyelo sesine sivela kulunga elihloniphekile uSS Zibi.
Nakhensa mthoma xitulu ndateka xivutiso ndateka xivutiso lexi holobye so I can hear you but you are very distant with the particulars around the parity in the treatment of traditional leaders. And what I would like to know is what was your recommendation? I hear that you are saying you are excluding the Zulu kingdom, which is an acceptance that it is being treated more equal than others at the moment, and you would like others to get to the same level. When we, in terms of the quantum, in rands and cents, what was the proposal from your department that it needs to go to the other kings and queens in our country so that there is some kind of quantum that we achieve parity? Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. For the first time, Honorable Speaker, in South Africa, during the 7th administration, we have the Forum of Majesties in South Africa for the first time. That was our initiative last year. For the first time in South Africa, we have the Forum of the Queens, the spouses to our kings, which we initiated last year and officially launched it. For the first time, the Minister of Finance, when tabling budget and speak of the upkeep of the royal palaces, it was our submission. We agreed with the Minister of Finance that he will scale it from year to year. I don't want to announce the figure. I know the figure, but it must be the Minister of Finance who must announce the figure, and that figure will be taken year after year to ensure that eventually there is parity. Nothing is going to go to KwaZulu-Natal, to the Zulu king, because he is already ahead. The concentration will be in other kings and the 2 queens that are officially recognized to bring them up to the same level to what the kingdom and the royal palace should be. I think commendation must be given to COPTA that at least you have made a move. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable members, I just want to advise you, when we do follow-up questions, let's remember what was the main question. And I'm really happy that the minister has been generous, because if he wanted, he could have ruled all of you out of order. Because in terms of the question, it was very specific on the medical aid benefits and pensions. We then expanded. Yes, I'm just reminding you that we should always try to make sure that the follow-up questions do indeed tally with the first. I also noted on the first question, somewhere we veered off a little bit. It was just a reminder. Now we're moving to the next question, which has been asked by Honorable Montana to the Minister of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation. The question is about the total number of movable assets under the former Department of Public Enterprises that were transferred to a department before 29 May 2024 elections, and what happened to the assets in terms of safeguarding documents during the winding down process. I've been informed that the Minister will be answering questions through the virtual platform. Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and good afternoon. The Department of DP has not transferred, of course, any assets before the elections last year in 2024. However, the assets that were transferred from DPE to DPME happened after the 31st of May. I just needed to qualify that so that the answer can then now be able to be clear. What has actually, happened is that 3,135 assets that are worth just over 16,408,000 has actually been transferred to from the Department of DPE to DPME. The records management team was actually established just in that particular process to safeguard all the other records that are there and to transit them, of course, from DPE to DPME. So we've already been able to do that. And there are some, of course, files that were actually at a Metro file, and those kind of contracts that we had in terms of safeguarding the records of DPE, the former DPE, is actually still continuing. Obviously, that also cost has been transferred to DPME. And some of the files, of course, that we had, or the records that we had of SOEs, have actually gone to the policy departments when the SOEs were actually transferred back to those particular departments. So that is our answer for this one. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. The first supplementary question will be asked by Honorable T.L. Montana. Order, Honorable Member. We are dealing with a supplementary question. Over to you.
Thanks, Speaker. I asked this question, in fact, in November last year, a similar question, and the Minister gave us an assurance that the winding down of the Department of Public Enterprises is actually under control. But when you look at the recent report by the Auditor General, in fact, is making some damning statements that the transition, the winding down and the transfer of functions and powers.
So what is your follow-up question from the answer she has given?
No, Speaker, I think, how much time do I have?
You only have 1 minute, 26 seconds.
Absolutely. I've just used 20 seconds, Speaker.
It's okay. I was just reminding you.
No, I'm reminding the Minister because I'm laying the context, Speaker. Thank you. So I'm saying that the Auditor General says there are no frameworks. There's no process to manage all these transfers of functions as it happened, as promised by the Minister. Now, my supplementary question is, if today we are looking for the assets as well as the documents for the Takato transaction, where are these documents archived? Because from the Auditor General's point of view, in fact, there are no records. This process is not being managed properly by the Minister.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Montana, as I've already said, there was a record management team that was put in place, and for each and every record that pertains to specific institutions, whether it is SAA or it is SAA, the records would be taken to the Department of Transport. And if you're talking about anything else that has to do with electricity, they have been taken to the relevant departments. The rest of the other historic records of the DPE is now actually at the National Archives. So if you do want to get those particular records, especially the particular records that you think that are relevant for whatever process that you are involved in, I would suggest that the honorable member go to relevant departments where we have sent those records to, as well as the National Archives, to actually access the data that they need. We did put up a team together that actually dealt with all these things that the honorable member is actually raising. We will have to actually probably, maybe if there's more things that the honorable member believe, in particular, not just in general, in particular, we did not do the way that we were supposed to do in order to safeguard the records of government, please just write them down so that we may be able to follow up. Because as far as we are concerned, the process of safeguarding the records has been done adequately and is with relevant institutions, whether it's the National Archives or is relevant departments, policy departments where specific SOEs are actually residing. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Tunja.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, noting the findings of the Auditor General that the processes of disestablishment of public enterprise departments was fraught with weaknesses due to material misstatements identified, what lessons has the department learned, and what consequence management actions will the minister take to prevent financial losses? I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and thank you very much to the Honorable Member.
Order, Honorable Minister.
Okay.
So what is the point of order?
We cancel the minister. She's showing us her neck. She must.
You can hear the minister. Thank you very much.
Here.
Minister, can you proceed? Minister, you can proceed.
Can you see me? You can't see me. I'm not sure how to.
Only see your neck. We can't see you.
Minister, can you proceed? We can see you.
Thank you, camera.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. We have started with currently the process of actually coming up with frameworks that will deal with how such processes should actually be handled, not only with our department or transfer from our department, but anything else that has to deal with transfer of certain powers and the standardization of how government processes actually are unfolding. The frameworks that we're working on obviously will have to be taken to cabinet first as they are being developed, to just ensure that as we deal with such processes, most especially as it relates to asset or SOEs, would then now be able to be done smoothly. In terms of losses, as it relates to the asset of government, because that is the asset that must be accounted for, we will institute an audit from our side to be able to look at the asset management register that the DPE had and the asset management register that we have been able to develop, including what we have taken to certain institutions such as relevant policy department, what is actually in our our possession as well, and we will follow the paper trail. We will come up with a report that would then now be able to at least tell us where we are, what we have lost, so that we can be able to follow up. Obviously, honorable members, we would still be able to come back to Parliament to give a detailed report in terms of what the findings were and what we are going to do in order to be able to regain the losses, if ever there are any, and materially so. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. I've noted the point of order, and I've decided from the chair that Honorable Deputy Speaker, as part of the training program, will make sure that she trains all of us how we use our gadgets when we are not, because most of us, when we are using online, when we're not in the house, I don't want to explain what we see, how you present yourself. So I'm just saying that, and we mustn't take it light. And I think it applies to all of us. So we just need to make sure that we deal with it, because clearly it is one of those things which should be work in progress. We now come to Honorable Chirwa for your follow-up question.
Thank you, Speaker, and greetings to the Minister. I think, Minister, with your previous response, there's a red flag or a red alarm that goes off, inciting that there is room for loss of certain records. We want to find out, how are you preempting responding to such an occurrence? I think we're at a level where, since this transition has taken place, the Minister should be able, even prior to the reports being presented to Parliament, be able to intervene on any loss that is going to happen. Please kindly appraise us on how you're going to prevent this if it has not yet happened. And if it has happened, how is it going to be corrected from where you're standing right now? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Chirwa. At the time, of course, unfortunately, when the audit was happening, there was no asset register. However, we've been able to develop one that is now assisting us actually to be able to deal with this issue of making sure that the transfer that we've done to specific departments can actually be followed up and monitored, so that we can ensure that that which was there before the transfer can actually be accounted for. So that's exactly how we are actually going to be able to ensure that the report is actually factual. But if ever there was any loss, of course, we would have to ensure that the law enforcement will be brought on board to be able to deal with it. However, at the moment where we are, there hasn't been any loss that we are aware of, but we will take the asset register that we have been able to develop based on historic data that we had, and to compare it with what we have already transferred to different institutions and different departments. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Bergman.
Thank you, Speaker. Minister, switch on your camera now that you've disappeared.
No.
It feels like
don't be naughty.
It feels like I'm
just ask the follow-up question.
Based on your answers about the asset register and the warnings given in committee previously around the merging of the two departments with an unclear mandate, it seems that you have inherited a major balance sheet with increasing liabilities, which means that we obviously have to watch the cash flow. At a time when internal controls are dispersed correctly under the oversight of the relevant portfolio committees for the SOEs, Minister, how do you intend to stabilize the merged budget of the two entities and ensure that the asset register can reflect a healthy, positive position capable of providing planning, monitoring, and evaluation? Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Bergman. As I've already said, what is at our disposal now, that what has been transferred to the Department of Monitoring and or Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation, the asset part of it is 16,408,000 or 16.408 million. That's what is in our disposal. The rest have been taken to policy departments, and we have transferred, I think less than, I'll just have to make sure, less than 10 staff members or employees from the Department of DPE itself. The rest went, in fact, to all the other departments that have just, policy departments that I've just spoken about. So we did not even get an expanded mandate as it relates to DPE. The mandate of DPE, majority of it went to the departments, policy departments. What we have inherited, of course, is the establishment or to making sure that the bill that was put in place by them is actually being implemented. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Bergman. You got your wish. We now move to the next question that has been asked by Honorable Matiwane to the Minister of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation. The question is, considering the impasse between the South African Social Security Agency, SASSA, and the Post Bank, which threatens the payment of social grants to over 19 million beneficiaries, what is the status of the mediation process between SASSA and the Post Bank, and what are the full details of the challenges in the dispute? Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Matiwane. The matter of SASSA and Post Office, obviously we have been mediating. We were hoping that we would have at least been able to finalize the mediation. The 1.9 million beneficiaries of SASSA that were under Post Office are still receiving their grants every month, and they are treated just as the same as any other grant beneficiary from any bank in South Africa. So they are receiving their grants as per usual. The only thing where we are still mediating is how SASSA was actually in a contractual obligation with Post Office, most especially as it relates to pay ponds and any other administrative processes that were actually entered into. So we are still dealing with the matter of renegotiating and finding a better way of dealing with the master service agreement itself. However, the beneficiaries are still getting their grants every month, and there are 1.9 of them. At the moment, we haven't received any complaints and queries as it relates to glitches of that particular process. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm not sure in terms of the figure whether it's 19 million or 1.9, because in the record of the question, it says 19 million beneficiaries. Maybe, Minister, when you answer the first supplementary question, you can clarify that figure. Okay. The question will be taken by Honorable Chirwa.
Ngiyabonga, Speaker. Minister, in your looking into the matter, we want to find out if the steps that you are taking or are speaking of are a permanent systemic process, overhaul or restructuring, and how do they provide a long-term solution to prevent future threats of disputes to payments that happen one too often times. At this stage, there should be tangible ways to respond to this question with a systemic process that the department is undertaking. Please appraise us if there is such a process. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. The number of recipients of SASSA, of SASSA grants that are under Post Bank are actually 1.9 million. They're just under 2 million though. So that is the number as per other information that we have. Now, in terms of putting systems in place, obviously SASSA has got its own process of ensuring that the grant recipients do get their money, most especially the grant recipients that would then now choose to get their grants through any bank in South Africa, because the legal framework that we have is that all recipients have got the right to choose, in fact, where they want to actually receive their benefit or their grants, lack of a better word to say. The major thing that was a challenge, especially in the past, were the pay points themselves. But since a post office does not have that those pay points anymore, as it relates to the current master service agreement, the agreement on pay points then fall off. So it just means that if there is going to be a new, or when there will be a new master service agreement, it would not include the pay point as far as I am concerned, or on what I know as it relates to the negotiations and ensuring that our beneficiaries are not affected by any of the situation that we may find ourselves in as it relates to the relationship or contractual obligations between the post office or the post bank itself and SASSA. But at the current moment, SASSA has put systems in place to ensure that all the recipients will get their monies or their grants where they choose.
Honorable Minister, your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Kumbaxa.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The strategic leveraging of large-scale government payment systems to support the State Bank is an important form of providing deposits and transfers under the current master service agreement ending. This shouldn't overshadow the required strategic partnerships to work with the Post Bank sustainably. So, Honorable Minister, what plans is the government implementing to support the development of various financial technologies to enable the Post Bank to offer low-cost banking services for SASSA grant recipients? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
It will take the Department of Course Treasury in particular to actually work with Post Bank and be able to fund Post Bank to be able to be a bank that the entire government should actually use, where I'm standing. So we will have to come up, we will initiate a process of a concept document that would at least advise the Treasury to be able to assist Post Bank to do exactly that, including the dispersing of grants that are needed as a bank that would be in South Africa. Obviously, we all want to see a government-owned bank, and that can only be through a Post Bank. And at the end, we should then now be able to see all government departments utilizing the Post Bank to be able to deal with the issues that they may be utilizing other banks with. That's what the Post Bank should actually be gearing itself for, and ensuring that it is being built to be able to carry that responsibility. So that is the answer that I can give at the moment, which of course will still be at a conceptual level from my department to be able to assist and come up with ways that would strengthen Post Bank to be able to be a bank that would be utilized by the entire government, not only government, but by everyone that needs to utilize it, including, of course, the services that the SASSA beneficiaries may want to actually choose or opt to use in terms of what they receive. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Beckman.
There's our minister. So nice to see.
Don't worry, she will come back.
We have seen the script before, and we know too well that Plan A is never the one that we prepare for. My interest is more in how this cabinet is preparing for Plan B in the event that the millions of our vulnerable wake up on payday to collect their grant, and we have failed them. What will be the backup plan to ensure that some form of delivery of money to people to avoid chaos and self-harm to people in an already economically hammered environment will take place. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister.
Honourable Speaker, thank you very much, and Honourable Bergman. As I've already said, the 1.9 million that have been referred to are actually currently receiving their SASSA grants from the Post Bank itself using the card that they have. The challenge that you are talking about was the previous one where we had centers from post office where the utilization of those centers did not happen in the way that they were supposed to. Currently, the matter that we are actually talking about as it relates to the relationship between SASSA and Post Bank are actually what Post Bank and SASSA have agreed upon with the recipient in terms of utilizing the cards that would help them to be able to access money from any ATM in the country. Not only at Post Bank, but any ATM in the country, because those cards are actually working at the moment. Of course, we are informed that Post Bank is actually improving them so that the security part of it can be tightened. So currently, we haven't had any challenge, and things are going as expected because the recipients are able to go to any ATM currently to withdraw the money that they must receive as SASSA recipients. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable L.M. Ngobeni.
Thank you very much, Speaker. I apologize, I am on the virtual platform. Honourable Speaker, may I ask the Minister in my supplementary question to ask whether, given that this dispute has persisted for years under the watch of officials who are either recycled or politically connected, can the Minister explain whether this breakdown between SASSA and Post Bank is not in fact a direct consequence of the deployment of cadres, where loyalty to party interests outweighs the duty to deliver to the poor? Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Minister.
Honourable Speaker, I'm not so sure how is the deployment coming in for here. What we are discussing is the MSA. As I've already said, the 1.9 million recipient of SASSA are still receiving their grants. So the recipients are not affected by this. The challenge that we are having right now is the resuscitation of the MSA that actually came to an end because the contract had a beginning and an end date. It has got nothing to do with party political issues. It is a purely contractual issue where a start and a date came into force, and because it came in the end time came into force, a renegotiation had to actually be put in place so that with the new environment and the new dynamics that are actually in place currently, most especially because in the beginning when the contract started, the MSA, the agreement started, it was with Post Office. Now that Post Bank is the one that is actually delivering the service and we don't have pay points anymore, the discussions will obviously be under a new environment and it will also be under a new system. That's the answer that I can give. It's got nothing to do with political parties because a contractual agreement is a legal entity more than politics. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. We now move on to question number 1082, which has been asked by the Honourable Mgweba to the Minister of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation. The question is about the total number of service delivery issues that have been resolved through the presidential hotline in the current financial year and the measures her department has taken to increase the accessibility of the presidential hotline through digital platforms. The Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. And let me thank also Honorable Mgweba for the question. At the current moment, for quarter 1 to quarter 2 of the financial year of 2025 to 2026, which is this particular financial year, we received about 4,424 complaints, and we have been able to resolve 59% of them. And with a few provinces, of course, that are not doing so well, but 2 provinces, the rest of the provinces are actually doing well at the moment. In terms of ensuring that we expand the access to the hotline, we have at the moment developed as a WhatsApp platform where users can be able to send us WhatsApp to be able to deal with this. Of course, the WhatsApp has been designed to, of course, enable citizens without data bundles to lodge their complaints using the USSD code. And we are already piloting that in rural areas in Limpopo to see if it is working the way that we want it to work. So we will obviously be rolling it out once we have mastered it all over the country, so that we may then now be able to resolve many of the challenges that we have seen. In the past financial year, the response part of it was over 70%, and we really do believe that we will do even better once we have expanded the platform itself, and we have strengthened the framework that we are working under together with the municipalities and provinces and other relevant institutions. Thank you very much.
The first supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable Mgweba.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. Honourable Minister, taking into account that the presidential hotline often receives complaints about systemic issues emanating from various departments, what has been the most common category of the unresolved problems referred to departments, and what is your department's strategy to ensure these referrals lead to permanent solutions rather than recurring problems? I thank you, Deputy Speaker.
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mgweba. What we have actually developed right now is the platform that I've just spoken about in terms of expanding our work. However, we have also been able to include the work of the presidential hotline into the dashboard that we have, where we monitor the implementation of the hotline itself, but also look at the impact, because the evaluation part speaks to the impact that would give us outcomes. But immediately after that, what we have been able to develop right now is that we need to take this particular report of the hotline and not only just go in and intervene, but we must also take it to cabinet, including the monitoring part of it, which we are doing through the dashboard. We are also designing a way at which we can be able to report not only to cabinet, but allow members of the public to be able to also access where we are on lifetime, so that we can be able to show them where we are, what we are doing as it relates to the interventions, and they can also be able to inform us if those interventions have happened or not. But equally so, as I've already said, the information that we're getting in terms of the dashboard itself of monitoring, the report would also be sent to relevant departments that are supporting different municipalities, because the category that is mainly reported to us is on local government, and in the main, the issue of water as well as sanitation. So the Department of Water and Sanitation, we are designing a framework that they would then now be able to intervene speedily and on a systematic way. We've seen a lot of changes currently on the intervention of the department itself, working with water boards in terms of ensuring that the intervention that we do are actually
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Your time has expired. Thank you. The second supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable Christie.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I'm also interested in the presidential hotline calls which did not result in successful resolutions. Does the department track the ratio of resolved service delivery issues in relation to the unresolved issues? If so, what is this ratio? And if not, how are you actually monitoring the hotline's performance and effectiveness? Thank you.
The Honourable Minister.
The fact that we are able to give you the percentage of the resolved means that we are monitoring and we've got the data that tells us exactly how far we are. I've been able to tell you that last year we were able to at least resolve over 70%, which means the ratio will be that out of every 10 complaints that we are having, we would be able, the results that we have of the last financial year would be 7 to 8. So what we are actually can be saying right now is that we would be able to, as I've already said, to ensure that the access to what the interventions that are there would be available to the entire public, so that anyone and everyone can see exactly where we are. So at the moment, I cannot give you the direct numbers, but I can just tell you, as I've already said, that for this financial year of Q1 and Q2, we have at least been able to resolve almost 60%, meaning that out of every 10 complaints that we had, already 6 are being resolved. So the monitoring dashboard that I'm talking about would then now be able to assist us to look at this particular matter on real time, so that when it happens, if it was green or if it was red, we would be able to see, is it moving up as yellow, is it becoming green now, or what is actually happening? That's the answer that I can give for now. Thank you.
The third supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable Manyi.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Greetings, Minister. Minister, I don't know whether you're still overseas or so. Very busy there. In the meantime, your department reported to the Portfolio Committee that the provincial resolution rates on the so-called presidential hotline are actually collapsing. This is what they reported. They gave us statistics. They are saying to us in the Northern Cape, the resolution rate is 3%. They say it was in Mpumalanga, the resolution rate is 8%. And they are saying most national departments are failing to meet the most basic of the 40% threshold. I hear you talking about the 70s and the 60s, but that's not what they said to us. So clearly the infrastructure is in place, but malfunctioning. So the question is, what specific measurable interventions is your department doing to rescue what has effectively become a presidential cold line? Thank you.
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Speaker, and thank you very much and good afternoon to my favourite Member of Parliament in the whole wide world. Thank you very much for the supplementary question that you have just asked, because I know your questions are usually based on making sure that we improve.
Order, Honourable Members.
It is true. I actually always enjoy.
Honourable Minister, just a moment. I know that this is very flattering for the Honourable Manyi, and there is a lot of support for that. But Honourable Members, if we could just, Honourable Members, could we please allow the Minister to answer her favourite?
He's blushing.
Honourable Minister.
He's even blushing.
Thank you very much for that question, because it will help us to improve, and all his questions always help us to improve. Hence, he is my favorite. So what we have, hence I've said it, that there is only exception of 2 provinces where the response rate is actually not working, and we have addressed that by ensuring that we do train and be able to assist those provinces to say, how do you respond to and intervene to this questions that we usually send them, and the intervention processes that are required from them. So the aggregate in terms of all the other departments and all the other provinces would then now give us what we have. Of course, the provinces that are doing well, for example, is provinces like Northwest, and Gauteng is also intervening in some of the places where we send them. So the aggregate would give us the 70% and the 59%. But I guess as it relates to what Honourable Manyi is actually asking, which will assist us, is that we should be able to disaggregate the information itself so that the percentage can then now reflect the reality, not just the general part of the answer that we need to give. So in terms of ensuring this, as I've already said, the dashboard that we have designed that is going to assist us with this particular matter would be able to give us the exact real-time responses that would show us that in Mpumalanga, we gave them this query this week. In 2 weeks, they haven't been able to respond. Therefore, we know when to intervene timeously. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. The last supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable Buthelezi. Before we proceed, Honourable Kaula, is it a point of order?
Hayi kabi Chair, thanks for ukuthi uyahlonipha. Bengicabanga ukuthi umkhwanazi kufanele abuye la eParliament ekezophenya le2 yangapha eMK nalo minister ngoba kusho ukuthi ukhona labahlangene khona. Nginamasudu agqoka uyawabona nje. Ngiyabonga.
Honourable Kaula, that is not a point of order, but I think we have taken note of that. And we now go on to the Honourable Buthelezi.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Thank you, Deputy Speaker. The Honourable NZ Buthelezi will be substituted by Honourable N. Mhlongo. Honourable Minister, as the IFP supports innovation and equitable access to government services, how is the department ensuring that the digital expansion of the presidential hotline truly bridges the gap between rural and urban communities, especially ensuring that citizens in underconnected areas are not excluded from raising service delivery concerns or receiving timely responses?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker, and thank you for the question from Honourable Member from IFP. The Khawuleza app, of course, that we have piloted in Limpopo and which has actually assisted us, especially as it relates to rural areas, have been doing well. However, I take note of what the Honourable Member is actually raising, which will mean that if there is data connection problems, what is the alternative that we should be able to put in place? I will take this up, of course, with my team to say that as much as, of course, we have this app that we have developed that is using the USS code, of course, so that if you don't have data, you are still able to access. We would then now look at place or situations or alternative when network coverage is actually not doing so well, so that we are able to cover each and every member of society. And as I've already said, what we will be able to do is that we will be able to ensure that we publicize the results so that the public can know if this, whatever it is that is an intervention that we have brought in place, is actually moving or not. But of course, we will have to find a way of saying that where there's no network coverage or access to digital platforms, what do we then now do? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. The next question is question number 1053. It has been asked by the Honourable A.M. van Zyl to the Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. The question is about the total number of recorded cases of corruption by his department that have been investigated against local government officials since 2021 and the specified cases that have resulted in sanctions imposed. The Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chair. In responding to this question, I must firstly state that municipalities are an independent sphere of government. They are not investigated anyhow willy-nilly. But of course, we view allegations of corruption with utmost gravity. Numerous measures are being introduced to ensure that we work together with the provincial government to do investigation as a first instance, and also with municipalities to ensure that allegations of corruption are being attended to. I do want to give the following statistics, Honorable Chair. Since 2021, we have 100 recorded cases where 28 cases have been resolved, either through dismissal or civil recovery, suspensions, or disciplinary actions. We are still waiting further information in relation to KwaZulu-Natal and Free State. But secondly, the Special Investigating Unit has recorded 198 cases since 2021. 47 of these 198 cases have been resolved through various sanctions. I can indicate in Mpumalanga province, 39 cases have been recorded by SIU and 24 of them resolved. In Gauteng, there's 4 cases and 3 have been resolved. In Eastern Cape, is 20 cases and 1 is resulting in a civil recovery. In Northern Cape is 30 cases, no sanctions yet have been recorded. I must indicate KwaZulu-Natal has the highest number of recorded cases, which is 170, and 46 cases are resulting to sanctions under the SIU, which includes Eastern Cape with 20 cases. We remain committed, Honorable Chair, in uprooting corruption wherever we get the link or the lead in terms of the prevalence of the corrupt activities in our municipalities. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
I have been informed that the Honourable JRB Lorimer will take charge of the first question on behalf of the Honourable Van Zyl in accordance with Rule 13710A, and I now recognise the Honourable Lorimer.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Minister, considering these numbers, the ones you've just given us, and the consistent looting in our local governments over the years, why haven't you worked with the Public Service Commission to implement mandatory lifestyle audits, which we set for provincial governments as long ago as 2022?
The Honourable Minister.
Honourable Chair, as I indicated, the local government is an independent sphere of government. We cannot willy-nilly introduce the lifestyle audit. The first instance that plays an immediate oversight role is the provincial government. But the first one are mayors and the council itself. But on instances where there is a reported corruption and there is no action taken by the municipalities themselves and the provincial government, it is only then that the national government COPTA ministry can intervene. Otherwise, we may experience backlash in terms of the law. Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Chair.
The second supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable Denner.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Honourable Minister, what is being done to combat the revolving door phenomenon, where officials who are either being investigated or have been found guilty already for misconduct in one municipality either resigns, is fired, or is redeployed to merely resurface at another municipality, often to repeat the same behaviour again? Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chair. I will answer it in 2 ways, this question. In terms of the people who had been dismissed, COGTA and Public Service Administration, we have been commissioned by the cabinet that we compile a register so that for people who were dismissed, it will become difficult to re-employ them at any government level. In terms of the law, a person who resigned while the case had not been finalized, you can't classify him or her as someone who was dismissed. That is just law, which we need to attend as the government in order to deal with that case. But again, even if we can change it as a government, a person can challenge you in the court of law. I don't think there will be legs to stand. Thanks, Honorable Chair.
The third supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable Swart.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, the ACDP appreciates your response, Honourable Minister, and appreciates as well that local government is a separate sphere of government and that you only come in when local government or the province do not respond. However, what is concerning is that there are, given the statistics, quite a number of cases, disciplinary hearings and criminal cases, which have not been finalized. Now, the Auditor General, in a most recent report on local government, indicated that the material irregularities process has not had the desired impact for various reasons, and she mentions prolonged investigation or delays in concluding criminal proceedings or delays. One of the reasons, Honourable Minister, and I'd like you to comment in general, is the fact that witnesses and whistleblowers are often intimidated. What, Honourable Minister, is government doing in that regard, appreciating that local government is a separate sphere, but to ensure that whistleblowers are protected? Thank you.
The Honourable Minister.
Honourable Chair, it is our greatest wish that from the security cluster point of view, the whistleblowers should be given maximum protection. As COGTA, it is not a sphere of our control in terms of ensuring the security of whistleblowers, but at the government level, we firmly believe the whistleblowers must be given maximum protection so that corruption can be uprooted at all levels and in all departments other than at municipal level. On that one, I fully agree. The only thing is that it belongs to the security cluster to effect the protection of the whistleblowers. Thank you, Honourable Chair.
The last supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable Nontenja.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Honourable Minister, South African municipalities have long grappled with corruption. Over the years, some municipal workers have been reporting these corruption scandals despite the critical lack of safeguard. Whistleblowers' protections under the Protected Disclosures Act exist, but enforcement is weak, particularly at the municipal level. What policy reforms will your department implement to strengthen reporting channels within municipalities to allow workers to report corruption without fear of being victimized?
The Honourable Minister.
Honourable Chair, as I have responded to this question, this must be an all-government approach and all-society approach, that people who are bold to speak out against corruption, they deserve maximum protection. And as we are undergoing the stage in which we are as a country, we are aware that a lot of money went to wrong directions through corruption. Those who are willing to say where the money went to need maximum protection. The security cluster should be in the forefront to that those who have already come forth must enjoy maximum protection in order to encourage those who have not come forth that there is protection. But as a department, we believe this should be an all-government approach in order to uproot corruption in our country, not only at municipalities, but in all three spheres of government. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. The question number 1084 has been asked by the Honourable Kaba and Chaba to the Minister of Public Service and Administration. The question is, given that lifestyle audits and financial disclosure have been seen as a cornerstone to root out corruption and ensure accountability in the public service, what plans has his department put in place to ensure that accounting officers in the public service comply with lifestyle audits and financial disclosures? I have been informed that the Minister will be answering questions through the virtual platform. The Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker, and my greetings to honourable members. It is true that lifestyle audits and financial disclosure are playing a very important role in as far as our endeavour to root out corruption. The disclosure of financial interest by designated employee is governed by Part 2 of Chapter 2 of the Public Service Regulation, which therefore this group of designated employees include accounting officers and HODs who are required to submit annual financial disclosures to their relevant executive authority via an e-disclosure system. So in terms of the PSR, therefore, a failure to comply with this disclosure requirement constitutes a misconduct and must be addressed in accordance with the Disciplinary Code and Procedure for Public Service. Therefore, the Public Administration Ethics, Integrity and Disciplinary Technical Assistant Unit is responsible for monitoring compliance with the financial disclosure framework. So in case of non-compliance, including accounting officers, the matter is reported to the Director General of the Department of Public Service and Administration and escalated thereafter to the Minister for Public Service and Administration for appropriate intervention. Lifestyle audits are strategically aligned with the annual financial disclosure cycle. So upon submission, the financial disclosure of accounting officer undergo a lifestyle review, which is the first phase of the lifestyle audit process. This review is aimed at identifying of any potential conflict of interest and indication of unexplained wealth. Where evidence or allegations of unexplained wealth arise, such cases are therefore escalated to the second phase, which is an investigation. This, therefore, is an in-depth process which is to establish legitimacy of the assets of financial interest in question. And departments that fail to complete lifestyle audit as required are also reported to DGs and escalated to ministers for relevant intervention in accordance with the applicable monitoring and enforcement mechanisms. Thank you.
The first supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable Kaba and Chaba.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Mhlonishwa, what has been the lesson learned from the lifestyle audit outcomes, and how is the department planning to institutionalize those lessons? Thank you.
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. The lessons that we have learned through this process is that the three-step process itself is working very well. And the review, which is the review, the investigation, and the after auditing, even the SIU is following the same process that we are following. Second to that is the fact that our ethics officers are very much efficient in terms of executing their duties, and the e-disclosure system itself is efficient. Hence, the compliance is 93%. However, there are also challenges or weaknesses rather that are there which we have identified, whereby there are not enough investigators in case some of these cases needs to be taken further, to an extent that departments have to refer them to the SIU, which appear to be very expensive. And as a result of lack of resources, some of these cases end up not being followed through. I think those are the lessons that we have learned, both positive and also negative. And we are also working very close with the Gauteng province, which appear to have done a lot of work here to see their successes as to how they have managed, and then we take some lessons from them. Thank you very much.
The second supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable de Villiers.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Honourable Minister, although lifestyle audits will expose potential corrupt activities by public service members, consequence management remains just as important as the identification of these corrupt activities itself. Can the Minister explain what steps will be followed by the Department in the investigation and prosecution of public service members or even related family members that are found to be engaged in corrupt activities with the state? Thank you.
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much to Honourable de Villiers. The issue here is that, as he's mentioning, that consequence is very important. Otherwise, all that we are doing is of no use if at the end of the day, people are found to have committed some misconduct, are not brought to books, and then they are dealt with accordingly. As the department, you will understand that the consequence management part relies or falls squarely on those relevant EAs. What we all do as the department is just to make sure that people are complying, and then in case there are issues that are flagged, we recommend to the EAs as to what needs to be done. Some of these cases, therefore, will be sent for investigation through the SIU, as I said. And then if there is a case in point, as far as those matters are concerned, then they will be dealt accordingly by the law enforcement agencies. Hence, therefore, the importance of our collaboration between us as department and then those law enforcement agencies to make sure that those people who have been brought to books are dealt with accordingly. So it's important that all structures that are relevant in as far as dealing with corruption work together, and they make sure that those who have committed wrongdoings are made to account. Thank you.
The third supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable Langa.
Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Minister, your previous response has partially answered my question. But if the Minister can provide further insight, if his department is collaborating effectively with the Financial Intelligence Center and SARS to verify the accuracy of financial disclosures and detect unexplained wealth. If so, can you share how this interagency collaboration has improved the integrity of lifestyle audits thus far? Thank you very much.
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. We do collaborate with a number of state agencies which are relevant. However, in specific terms with the SARS, what happens is that we give SARS information, meaning the flow information is only coming from us as the department, because by law, SARS cannot simply disclose some details of their clients, something which is similar with the IFC. However, there are other state agencies that we are working with, for example, like the Deeds Office, the NHS, where cars are registered and so forth. But specifically with SARS, we do not get much information from them because by law, they are not allowed to disclose such. Thank you.
The last supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable Trollip. Honourable Beasley.
Minister, as Minister, you must be aware that recently 37% of public officials in Gauteng failed their lifestyle audits. Can you please give an update of the consequences for these officials? Because surely there must have been consequences. I thank you.
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker, and the member for the question. I will humbly request that since it's a specific reference to Gauteng province, that we consult with them and then we give him the feedback, because we will not necessarily have all the details as the PSA. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Question number 1046 has been asked by the Honourable Ghana to the Minister of Public Service and Administration. The question is about which aspects of a person's lifestyle are covered in lifestyle audits conducted for public servants, and the total number of public servants in each department that have been found to have irregular lifestyles following a lifestyle audit. The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, and the question from the member. The Department of Public Service Administration has developed and implemented the lifestyle audit framework for the public service in alignment with the directive from the President. As part of this initiative, an integrated lifestyle audit system has been introduced, which leverages existing digital platforms such as the e-disclosure, as I've mentioned previously. Then this system enables the cross-verification of financial disclosure across categories, including, therefore, specific to the question, the directorship and partnership in companies, the ownership and other interest in movable and immovable assets, which includes vehicles. Therefore, data submitted by public servants is compared with the third-party sources such as the entities, the Companies and Intellectual Property Commission, and the Deeds Office, which I just referred in my previous question. So this cross-verification therefore helps to identify potential unexplained wealth and conflict. The second part of the question, therefore, the national and provincial departments are required to report the implementation of lifestyle audit to the department on annual basis. So during the 2025 reporting cycle, the presidency reported to have identified 24 public servants suspected of having undeclared sources of income, living beyond their means and in possession of hidden assets. The President therefore committed to report progress in these cases. That's the only report that we have, which means therefore other departments did not have the same issue. Thank you.
First supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable Ghana.
Minister, I'm not so sure if maybe it was the sound, but if it was not the sound, and you said that only 24 public servants in the Republic, only 24 have been flagged as having an irregular lifestyle. If that's what you said, it's to ask whether you believe that to be the real story. Because the reason we ask these questions, and that the previous question also speaks to the lifestyle audit. The truth of the matter is that we have public servants who are living beyond their means. The kind of lifestyle that they have, even if you go to the parking lots, you see that with the salaries that you pay them, they cannot afford the cars that they drive. And what I was trying to check with this question, Minister, is what triggers a lifestyle audit. So if someone is a clerk and the salary that you pay them, it's not in line with their lifestyle, does that trigger a lifestyle audit, or you only focus on the senior managers? Because the problem is at supply chain departments where clerks are living way beyond their means. And I'm asking, what triggers a lifestyle audit in the public service? And if 24 is your number, Minister, do you believe that to be true?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. The member heard me correctly, and this was specifically to the presidency. As for departments for this reporting cycle, they did not report any suspicious, what you call, activities in their employees. As to therefore how true this Therefore, that's another question altogether. But what you have asked also is that what triggers the audit itself. You will understand that the senior management, because our system focuses on those that has a potential of committing fraud and corruption within the state. There will be a disclosure here as we disclose as members of parliament. So from what has been brought to us, it's only then that we verify that information. There is also another leg, if I may use that term, to say there are people who may not be picked up by the system because they are too far from it. And if you refer to like junior employees and all that, that is where therefore the issue, as Mr. Shabisa also referred to, that this effort of dealing with corruption in the public space is an effort that should be embraced by everybody. Some of these individuals may not be known by us, and they may not show that through the submission that they send to us. It's therefore incumbent to members, even themselves, to tell us that no, just check the activities and the disclosure of Buthelezi. It may appear that he sent the disclose A, B, C, D, but the lifestyle of the person is not really reflecting what he has disclosed. And only then that we can therefore follow up such activities. Meaning, beside the e-disclosure form, we need to get some actually information from those who know that there are shenanigans that are taking place elsewhere, which we may not know and which those people may not declare. But as far as we are concerned at this point in time, all departments did not. As to how far true that is, then that's another question altogether. Thank you.
The second supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable Dikana Tutiwe.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Honourable Minister, how does the department ensure that staff hired in accordance with ministerial handbooks are in compliance with the vision of the public service and that they are equally monitored in line with the public service standards? Thank you.
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you. The staff that are employed in the Office of Ministers through the handbook, as we speak now, we are in a process of making them to be bounded by the code of conduct, which actually guides all public servants. And we are also saying that the same as people who are working for the state cannot do business with the state, that is the same issue that should happen with the staff that are employed in ministries, meaning to say that as part of our professional framework, we should not have a separate way of dealing with those that are employed in the Office of Ministers through the ministerial handbook. As long as you are working for the state, the same processes and the same procedures should apply to you. As I said, that even the code of conduct that actually binds public servants should be the same code that binds even advisors and everybody who are working in the Office of Ministers. Thank you.
The third supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable Malinga.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, Minister. Given government commitment to promoting ethical conduct and integrity within the public service through the implementation of lifestyle audit, can the Minister indicate what have been the key finding or outcome of the lifestyle audits conducted to date across national and provincial departments? What specific action has been taken against officials where irregularities or unexplained wealth are identified, and how the department intends to strengthen monitoring and enforcement mechanism to ensure that lifestyle audits lead to tangible accountability and deterrence against corruption? Thank you.
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. As I said before, that when people are disclosing and there are issues that are flagged in their disclosure forms, and then steps needs to be taken by the relevant department. If then that is not done, the matter gets escalated to the minister, meaning if that has been brought to my attention by the DG, because firstly, the DGs will communicate among themselves. If then that seems not to yield any result, then they'll escalate that to us, to myself in particular. And then the Minister of Public Service will therefore speak to that particular minister to ensure that the consequence management is effected. So, as I said even before, that it lies squarely in that particular EA to make sure that any wrongdoing that has been found is actually followed through. And those that are actually found to have committed wrong or committed misconduct, cases gets referred to the law enforcement agencies, because at the end of the day, this is not just a matter of compliance. We are trying to make sure that those that are found to be corrupt and engaged in wrongful doings find themselves prosecuted and then get their sentences as it should be. Thank you so much.
The last supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable Gilishe.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. Minister, it can be a conclusive assertion that there are no corrupt public servants that you have picked up, because the SIU and even other Chapter 9 institutions have aided, they have actually came out to say the public servants have been aiding other people in these corruptions. So maybe you need to look into that, and maybe even the Public Service Commission, you would come to that conclusion, because also you ignore the recommendations and the reports of the Public Service Commission. So in the light of the response regarding the issues raised and the number of public servants identified with the questionable lifestyles, can the minister now provide this House with a comprehensive breakdown? One, a specific disciplinary and civil and criminal actions taken against each public servant discovered to have such lifestyles organized by the department, the total monetary value of assets recognized as corrupt proceeds that have been frozen or retrieved by the states as a direct
Thank you, Honourable Member.
Lifestyle audits. Thank you very much.
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, and to Honourable Gilishe. The last part of a question, I may not be able to provide those specific figures and detail. I need to go back and then compile a comprehensive report and submit to the member. But if she says this can't be conclusive, that other departments have not committed any wrongdoing in as far as my presentation is concerned, I will say what I've said here is on the basis of what has been brought to the PSA. Hence, I said only one department, which is the presidency, that has given us the information that I've shared. Our departments indicated that from their lifestyle audit, nothing has come through. But also important to what you are saying, it speaks to a broader coordinated approach and collaboration between different entities that are handling such matters, as we have alluded to the Public Service Commission. If therefore they've got a different, what we call states, we need to reconcile our facts and then have a coordinated approach in as far as handling these matters. But as far as Department of Public Service is concerned, what we have presented is true, unless those that gave us the information misled us, which is another issue that needs to be taken through. And if the member is aware of particular departments that have issues which seem to have contravened the provisions, then they can share those with us so that we can follow against what we have as the PSA. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Question number 1086 has been asked by the Honourable Pulwane to the Minister of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities. The question is, considering that the rising levels of substance abuse and moral decline among the youth continue to threaten social cohesion and nation building, which exacerbate the vulnerability of women and children, whether her department has any partnership with the Moral Regeneration Movement and other civil society organizations to help restore social values and promote equality. If so, what is the position in each regard? If so, what are the relevant details in each case? I've been informed that the Deputy Minister will be answering questions on behalf of the Minister. The Honourable Deputy Minister.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, the department does lead the coordination of the National Strategic Plan on GBVF. And at the core of this NSP, we have pillar number 2 that focuses on addressing prevention aspect of the work and also focusing on rebuilding the social cohesion in this regard that deals with the issues that respond to partnership as well as collaboration. But part of it is really about how we restore social values and how we promote equality in society. We have indeed partnered and collaborated with various civil society organizations, but also the moral regeneration movement in that part. We are focusing on issues of human rights, gender equality, but especially amongst women, youth, and persons with disability, because these are society and communities that are affected by substance use and abuse, but also by gender-based violence. The moral regeneration movement and also all these key partners are focusing on what we call social behavior change communication. And part of those programs are implemented in society, in communities, alongside other departments, focusing on how we build and restore the ethical leadership, Ubuntu values. And all these activities are addressing how society must actually behave and how do we change and unlearn certain aspects that really perpetuate vulnerability and exposure to substance use and also to some of the gender-based violence. The partnership that includes faith-based organizations, that includes traditional leaders, but also civil society and youth and persons with disability movement, really to promote that positive behavior in society. That partnership is continuing, and we are really focusing it even at the district level with local rapid response team, but also to ensure that this partnership is coordinated multi-sectorally. Thank you.
First supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable Pulwane.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Minister, the entertainment industry is something seen as driving force around the promotion of substance abuse and soft violence. What is the issue? What are the issues you have picked up around this? And how is the department planning to create partnership with the industry and at large to ensure the responsible entertainment? Thank you.
The Honourable Deputy Minister.
Is Deputy Speaker allowing me to?
Yes, you may sit.
Thank you so much, Deputy Speaker. Look, Deputy Speaker, I think we must acknowledge that the entertainment industry is one that is important with lots of opportunities, but it's also met with quite a number of challenges. And it really holds a significant influence over social behavior of individuals, of people, of society, and much more of youth culture that sees particular behavior and also tries to practicalize it in many ways. And that's what we are picking up. And it's not only just offline and in communities, we are also finding it online. And indeed, Honourable Member, while we can look at how entertainment industry can play a positive role, we must also look at how it can play and contribute to a negative role and contributes to many other issues that relates to how we normalize substance use and abuse, sexism, how we normalize soft violence through lyrics, imaginary images, as well as online content. These portrays erodes on its own our social values and how we actually interact with harmful practices that continue. So we have to look at how we collaborate throughout, because this will require, really, to be honest, a whole of society. Some of the issues that we have been focusing and monitoring is this online violence that continues, to expose, actual magnitude of problems and crises we're dealing with. We have normalized this. And this is why, as a department, through the partnerships and also with interdepartmental collaboration, we are looking at safer ways and regulations that actually continues to have these entertainment industry continue to be positive change, but also to contribute positively in the economy. My office has also been monitoring online contact.
Thank you, Deputy Minister. Your time has expired. The second supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable Van der Merwe.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker, Deputy Minister. In a country with the highest youth unemployment rate in the world, we know that young people turn to substances because they are hopeless, jobless, and unable to access meaningful opportunities. Equally, it is a crisis that we are increasingly seeing entry-level jobs, whether it be in the e-hailing, construction, farming, hospitality, and other sectors, such as the spaza shop industry, being occupied by foreign nationals without the requisite paperwork and special skills that would render them eligible to work in South Africa. As the custodian of the rights of young people and tasked with advocacy and empowerment, what has your department done to ensure that you advocate for every single job opportunity that rightfully belong to the youth of our country be opened up, reserved, and protected for South Africa's youth? Thank you.
The Honourable Deputy Minister.
Thank you, Honourable Van der Merwe, for that question. Indeed, our youth unemployment is quite high, and our economy is stubbornly moving at a snail pace. But our department, through the National Youth Development Agency, we have looked at various initiatives, including other departments that are doing work around national youth services. And these programs are responding to the much needed effort around curbing unemployment rate that is increasing, but also to actually expose young people to opportunities, to skills development, to entrepreneurship that really looks at elements that empowers them, but also that puts the economy in their hands. But what is key also, it's really still, ensuring that we restore the values. And part of the packages and programs that exist, it's really life skills and looking at work ethic, looking at respect, human rights, but also profound understanding of self. And that is part of the package of programs and skills development towards young people. And that spirit of patriotism is what we're trying to instill amongst young people and looking at how we can build a strong civic awareness amongst young people to restore this meaningful participation of many of the young people we have. Thank you.
Third supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable Peterson.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Minister, since partnerships often fail due to poor coordination and limited funding, what assurance can you give that the department's collaboration with these organizations is not just symbolic, but backed by real resources and accountability measures? Thank you.
The Honourable Deputy Minister.
Thank you, Honourable Peterson, for that question. I think what's important is to realize what our role is in terms of coordination. And we have never, and we don't disperse resources to organizations, and that is the responsibility of other departments or even development agencies. But the assurance of coordination is ensured through the missionaries that we have put throughout. If you take the partnership that we have, for instance, if you take the example of the Women's Economic Assembly, the Women's Economic Assembly, which is a multi-sectoral platform that brings both government and private sector. And these are women-led businesses at the highest level, but also at the small scale level that comes together to saying, how do we build the economy and how do we empower women in communities? But at the addition to that is the very same gender missionary, then that is led also by civil society organizations. So partnership don't fail because of lack of resources. It's how we maximize resources and how we leverage on ensuring that we actually implement the much needed targets we have for ourselves. Thank you.
The last supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable Nontenja.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Honourable Deputy Minister, substance abuse among youth remains a pressing issue in South Africa, affecting individuals, families, and communities at large. Research proves that unemployment and income loss can induce psychosocial stress, prompting short-term coping mechanisms like substance abuse. To prevent the use of substance abuse amongst youth, has your department considered collaboration with other relevant departments to establish youth centers, more especially in townships, to keep young people engaged with programs and equipped with knowledge and skills needed to resist the allure of substance abuse? If yes, what are the relevant details? If no, why?
The Honourable Deputy Minister.
No, let me appreciate the question from Honourable Nontenja. Indeed, substance use and abuse in the country is very problematic. Our department at the coordination level, you would understand that President established in 2025 the interministerial committee that is coordinated between our department and the Department of Social Development. And the mandate driven to respond to the substance abuse is the framework guided and led by social development. But what is key and what is outcoming from these processes in dealing with substance use and abuse, and you are finding this across our own countries, provinces, the work that is taking place led by DSEC, the work that is taking place led by, Department of Social Development. And I'll highlight just two so that it helps, the colleague to realize what is happening. One of the things is the collaboration that we've seen to implement the Youth in Sports Against Drug Abuse program. And some of these programs relates to prevention, but also some of these programs relates to keeping young people busy, active, but also participating in some of the activities that builds them, their well-being, but also that restores also their participation. And maybe the last one, you would have seen recently in Gauteng, the work led by Premier Lesufi in Tswada program, and they ran a program across the province in taking young people to help lead them into rehabilitation and also to ensure that they build skills along those programs. So this is what we are seeing as part of our reporting and coordination effort. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Minister. Question number 1061 has been asked by the Honourable de Villiers to the Minister of Public Service and Administration. The question is, given the ongoing disciplinary case against a certain person for misconduct while they were employed by the Department of Women, Children and Persons with Disabilities, and the fact that the Department of Women, Children and Persons with Disabilities has requested that the disciplinary case be transferred to the Department of Social Development, but the Department of Social Development refuses to process the case and maintains that the specified individual is not its employee, how will his department ensure that public servants do not evade disciplinary action by using revolving door tactics and that disciplinary action is enforced against any public servant? The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, and the member asked a question of de Villiers. The Minister of Public Service and Administration has not been informed of any allegation of gross misconduct charges against the individual in question. However, I do want to mention that the management of disciplinary matters relating to special advisors falls under the authority of the executive authority within the respective department. So these cases have not yet been reported to the Minister of Public Service and Administration, and as such, the Minister does not have an oversight over such matters of disciplinary processes. Special advisors are appointed for information in terms of Section 12 of the Public Service Act and are therefore not subjected to the conditions of service determined by the MPSA. Furthermore, they are not governed by the disciplinary procedure outlined in the Senior Management Handbook. Instead, disciplinary matters which concern special advisors must be addressed in accordance with the contractual law and in terms of their individual contract. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. I'll now ask for the first supplementary question from Honorable J.N. de Villiers.
Thank you, Speaker. Honourable Minister, these revolving door tactics, as we see very clearly in this example, where public service employees transfer between departments, and in this case, even transfer to ministers, different spheres of or other different spheres of government to escape disciplinary proceedings against them, and then continue their often destructive and corrupt behaviour while earning taxpayer money, work directly against the government of national unity efforts to build a professional, merit-based and non-political public service. Can the Minister please update us on what measures his department is pursuing to stop this practice inside the public service and bring these public service officials to justice? And if the Minister feels satisfied that it is now just under the authority of another minister and that this individual might escape justice because they have just been transferred to the office of someone in the executive authority. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister.
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Speaker. The department has put a number of measures in place to prevent reappointment in the system of those individuals who have been found to have committed misconduct. And in particular, we have now the central register, which seeks to enforce that any person who has been disciplined through whatever department gets registered in that register, so that if there is a post in any department, before anything could proceed, those that are responsible should first verify or check whether that particular individual does not appear in that register. If that is the case, therefore, that person cannot be considered. That is also one measure that we have put in place to make sure that such occurrences do not continue. Once this register is fully operational, I don't think we'll forever have the same challenge that we are having. Thank you, thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister. I'll now ask Honourable Tikana Kutiwe for a supplementary. Honourable Tikana Kutiwe, can the duty whip my follow-up question is, how does the department ensure that staff hired in accordance with ministerial handbooks are in compliance with the vision of the public service and that they are equally monitored in line with the public service standards? Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Staff appointed in the offices of ministers, we make sure that they don't simply appoint any person, because first and foremost, some positions there are senior in nature. So inherent to those positions, therefore, we enforce that there must be a minimum qualification which is equivalent to the post. That is one mechanism. Also, we make sure that those individuals, in particular advisors, ministers, appoint people who are well versed in the matters that are related to that particular office, because it's not a matter of appointing any individual, but that individual must have competencies and skills which will enhance the work and assist the work of the minister. That's what we encourage, therefore. So far, all ministers have appointed people who are fit and proper and who possess the expertise that are in line with that particular department that they are leading. Thank you.
Sokalisa sekumajoka manje sesihlalweni.
Oh, ngiyaxolisa kakhulu Somlomo. Angiboni emehlweni. Ngizange sanake, xolisa.
Okay, Honorable S. Xolisa.
Honorable Minister, EFF ayinamdla yazi kulibaziseko phakathi kwe-departments. Lo mntu ngumsebenzi karhulumente ohlawulwa ngurhulumente kwaye funeka aphendule. So what immediate and direct instructions will you as executive authority issue today uqinisekisa ukuba eli tyala loluleko luyasonjululwa? And can you commit to this house that if it is not settled within 30 days, wena ngokwakho uzawungenelela ude uqukunjelwe lo mcimbi?
Honorable Minister.
Njoba bengike ngasho ukuthi lo daba esingalwazi kodwa njengamanje ngoba ke sesiyalwazi-ke sizozama ukuthi silandele singenelele ngokuxoxisana nozakwethu, ngoba iqiniso ukuthi akufuneki kube khona abantu abathile ngathi bona banelungelo lokwenzwa okungalungile lohlangothi bese baleka beya kwenye indawo beqe ucingo. Ngakho-ke ngiyasithatha seluleko semember ukuthi njengomnyango ohlanganisa wonke iminyango noqinisekisa ukuthi indaba lezi zabantu abaphula imithetho bayaqondiswa. So kwenza ukufanele basikwenze ngokuxoxisana nozakwethu ukuze lo daba lufinyelele esiphethweni ngendlela efaneleyo, nalo othintakalayo ajeze ngokufaneleyo uma kufanele bathole uswazi alithole. Ngiyabonga.
Siyabonga ilungu elihloniphekile uDr. Maimane.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, Minister, for your responses. What I'm wanting to understand is that often many of the public servants who are moved from department to department are politically connected. Disciplinary hearings are interfered with, suspensions are then put on place, which you create ghost workers. What I would like to understand, Honorable Minister, is whether has the department considered introducing salary freezes for people and the red flagging mechanism so that when somebody pops up in another department, they can't, and that ultimately all civil servants must be able to declare, as anybody would have to, whether they have political connections within that department or not. Has the department made any of those steps in place to ensure that this practice of people moving from department to department under suspension is curbed? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and thanks for Honorable Maimane for the question. There are some specific aspects of his question, for an example, where he says, have we ever considered salary freeze for people who have been found guilty on the other side and they want to run away to the other side? That we have not considered, because I think the issue of freezing people's salary is guided accordingly, so we cannot simply do that willy-nilly. But it's our concern, hence I have mentioned that we have now developed a register that wants to address exactly that, to say no one should commit a wrong on this side and then run away, resign, lead to any disciplinary actions and go to the other department. That is going to stop once this register, central register, is fully operational. We will also understand that at the level sphere of government, local government, they are already having a system whereby if you have issues or clouds around your head, you don't get actually appointed in another, what you call local government, which is also one endeavor that seeks to address exactly that. But all that we are saying is, therefore, when we exercise all these avenues, we must make sure that they don't discriminate and also they don't unfairly prejudice on those individuals that are found to have been alleged to have committed any kind of misconduct. For example, you may have a situation where somebody has been alleged to have done ABC, in particular in local government, and that because once you get dismissed, you will not be reappointed for almost 10 years, then people will want to quit, not because they are guilty, but because they are running away from facing those challenges, because they know that the outcome is predetermined already. But all I'm trying to say is that our systems are trying to address that, and already we have systems in place, as I'm saying now, meaning that once this is fully operational, therefore I don't think we'll have such situations where people are flopping and job hopping all over just because they've got some issues. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. We now move to question number 1081, which has been asked by Honorable N.S. Sompa Masiu to the Minister of Corporate Governance and Traditional Affairs. The question is, given that municipalities in the Republic are still failing to manage infrastructure projects, and consequently, numerous projects are left incomplete with additional funds incurred and service providers being changed with no tangible progress and or consequences, what total number of municipal infrastructure projects are currently delayed, and are there plans to blacklist service providers who fail to complete projects? If not, why not? If so, what are the relevant details? Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Indeed, Honorable Speaker, the unfinished projects are missed opportunities when it comes to service delivery and community development. This, therefore, is a major concern, not only to Coctam, but to the entire country, because it's money wasted in most of the times. What we have done, Honorable Speaker, we have launched the National Strategic Hub, which is going to be a one center that compiles all data in terms of municipalities' population, the economy, the infrastructure, as well as governance. That is what we are currently doing together with the provincial government. We are collecting data in understanding and knowing how many infrastructure projects have been completed and how many were left incomplete. We're working together with National Treasury because MIG projects report to Treasury in terms of projects completed and incomplete. When it comes to what do we do in terms of the service providers who left job, are they blacklisted? This is the responsibility of the municipal managers who report to the National Treasury. But this goes together with what Public Service and Administration is doing, that both the dismissed employees and service providers who did not complete the job has to be listed and blacklisted so that they do not qualify to get further jobs as we go forward. I think, Honorable Speaker, that is where one can end in responding to what are we doing in this matter. Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I'm sure, Honorable Minister, you will be able to provide, as you say that you are still working on it, the relevant information in terms of the number of delayed projects. I'm sure you will offer that response to the member in writing once your work has been complete in that regard. I'm told the follow-up question will be undertaken by Honorable Sompa Masiu.
Thank you, Speaker. Minister, what are the relevant skills that are needed to deal with the infrastructure challenge at local government? And
Is the department championing any partnership with TVET colleges, universities, and private sector? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Indeed, as you indicated, Honorable Speaker, we will provide the information once it has been collated. But on this question, the skills that are required at municipal level, one, project planning and preparation, project delivery skills, project monitoring and evaluation, project operation and maintenance. These skills must be possessed by officials who are dealing with infrastructure services, procurement services, as well as contracting services. COGTA, through MISA, is providing technical support to our municipalities which assist in skills transfers. We have capacitated over 500 officials in the technical aspect through skills transfer by MISA. And MISA also provides bursaries to our young people to enroll at TVET and universities on technical qualifications. And lastly, Honorable Speaker, we partner with private sector which deals with research, skills, and capacity building. Like, for instance, Tirisano Construction Fund, National School of Governance, the universities of Johannesburg and Cape Town on technical qualifications to our youth whom we deploy to municipalities as a support so that our municipalities can be able to execute or use MIG successfully. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Minister. The next supplementary will be from Honorable Sila Vaskata.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Minister, given your answer on the municipal infrastructure projects delayed and the responses on the blacklisting service provider, do you foresee that there can be any transversal consequence management plan that can address government officials involved in these processes, including criminal action? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. But where things must start, if you have suitably qualified employees, they will go for fit-for-purpose service providers who will finish job. In most cases, the service providers are a reflection when they don't finish the job of how they were hired. The procurement, if it was done properly, a person who had quoted accordingly was the one who was given the job, you don't go wrong. The consequence management, therefore, is a major responsibility of the municipal manager. There is a retention fee that is involved. If a service provider did not complete the job, in most cases, should be on a loss side. It becomes unfortunate that money has been paid, even the retention fee paid, but the project is not incomplete. But where things were done correctly, service providers, best consequence management, blacklisting, it will take them a considerable time to ever get a job from the government at every sphere. But this responsibility lies entirely with the local government sphere because they are an independent sphere that must operate accordingly in terms of how to hire service providers. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. The next follow-up question comes from Honorable MJ Matutu.
Thank you, Speaker. I'll take the supplementary question.
I'm afraid, Minister, the picture you are painting is not what is on the ground. We just went there and saw 4 provinces, and really it's not what you are saying is happening there. So considering what we've witnessed in the 4 provinces, we visited during our oversight as a joint committee of parliament with some municipalities reporting water and electricity losses between a damning 50 to 60% as a result of dilapidated infrastructure. Some, we asked them, what is your mandate? And then they said, no, we are a special municipality. So I want you, Minister, to ask, to tell the House or give us a breakdown of total financial losses incurred by South African government due to delayed infrastructure projects, including additional cost for revised contracts, penalties, wasted resources, and further indicate how much of these losses have been recouped through legal action, penalties.
Order, honorable member, your time is up. Honorable member, again, I would say the detail that you want, I'm sure, given that is the follow-up question, the minister would have to forward it to you. But obviously, he can speak broadly to a question. No, honorable member. It's a follow-up question. It's not an original question. So where would he have got the amount of money? I am protecting you as I'm protecting all other members. So you will get your answer, but maybe not now. Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. In some other question, I was utilizing the airtime to give more information. But on this one, Honorable Speaker, I can't respond because it will require sufficient time to get the information in terms of finances. Thank you, Honorable Chair, Speaker.
I was just advising my members because my member, as he spoke, he knew very well that the detail he was asking, the minister wouldn't have it as he seated there. But already he has presented upfront what he wanted, so he will get it. The last supplementary question is from Honorable Mkalipi. I'm not sure who will take the question on her behalf. Honorable Nihas.
Honorable Speaker. I will take the question on behalf of the honourable member. Minister, each and every year, the Auditor General publishes reports on the state of these municipalities. And I listened very carefully.
Honorable Nontenja, can you please mute?
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. And I listened very carefully to your answers. You are aware of these concerns. But these problems keep on recurring, despite the fact that you are very aware of it. And all relate to the lack of capacity within municipalities to manage their own projects and hold service providers to account. Now, Minister, at the foundation of this problem is the continuing appointment of incompetent managers and municipal managers in many municipalities. Why can't we set standards to avoid this? Why must we keep on going through the same disaster over and over again? Why has this problem of internal capacity within municipalities?
Honorable member, your time is up. Thank you. Honorable Minister.
Honorable Speaker, broadly speaking, in responding to the statement, as I did not get the answer very well.
Order, honorable members. Order, Honorable Hlangwini, can we allow the minister to respond? You don't need to have a dialogue on this matter. Let's allow him to respond.
Yeah, I was generous in terms of saying I want to respond broadly and out of respect. The problem in municipalities is twofold. One, incompetent staff, and secondly, some of incompetent political leaders as mayors, speakers, and executive councils. The review of the white paper must come with firm proposals that mayors, because a mayor is not elected by communities, mayors, executive leadership of council must have certain competencies. Because if the political leadership is competent enough, they see it early that this project will not be finished. If the administration is competent enough, they won't go for a service provider because he or she was the cheapest or the lowest, yet could not finish the project. So now, these are the issues we must confront as we go forward, and I'm confident that as we close the council term next year, we will be closing these challenges. The new councillors post the next local government election will be competent enough to close this unfortunate chapter on service delivery. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. We now move to the next question. Question 1074, which has been asked by Honorable Mailola to the Minister of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities. The question is noting that during the Psychosocial Disability Awareness Month in July, her department highlighted the importance of recognizing mental health as part of disabilities beyond awareness campaigns. What specific programs and/or partnership has her department implemented to ensure sustained access to psychosocial and mental health support services, particularly for youth and persons with disabilities in rural and under-resourced communities? And how is the impact of the specified programs being measured? Honorable Deputy Minister.
Thank you, Speaker. In recognizing that psychosocial disability are often invisible, I think one must look at and address the issue that we deal with, which is the issue of exclusion. Our department has prioritized sustainable access to mental health as part of our monitoring and partnership with all other related departments. This is the work that is being embarked by Department of Health, Department of Social Development, and the monitoring component also by Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation. But all other departments, including Treasury and Civil Society, are key to this. And we embark on the psychosocial support that is needed in community programs, youth empowerment initiative. The monitoring aspect, Honorable Speaker, is through self-assessment reporting. This is a joint evaluation program that is coordinated with DPME, and it tracks the gender aspect, youth and disability indicators within our gender responsive planning and budgeting as well system. While challenges of resources and constraint exist, we remain committed in the monitoring aspect that we do. So that means all other departments, we target them throughout, looking at a set of departments on a yearly basis, but also we then look at how the progress of work and the targets is met adequately. The Department of Women has also partnered with the Epilepsy South Africa and other organizations focusing on the intellectual as well as neurological and psychosocial condition to develop on the draft action plan. And this work we started in March 2025 and looking at how we respond to our commitment that we have done as a country in the World Health Assembly resolution. And part of it is to domesticate this response as part of this action plan. We are also currently working with the mental health organizations to develop a manual, and this manual focuses on mental health to assist really the caregivers, healthcare professionals in terms of continued education awareness, but also responsive in the elements of the rights of persons with disability in relation to mental health. October, Honorable Speaker, is declared Mental Health Awareness Month. And the United Nations has also been supporting the work that we do throughout, including partnership with Department of Health, to focus on aspects of mental health that deals with intellectual, neurological, and psychosocial disorders as part of this wellness and response that we need to be doing. So, Honorable Speaker, the issue of mental health policy is key. And at the heart of the work that we do is coordination work, and really to look at how both health and social development must ensure direct service delivery, but also continuation in the mental health centers. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm informed that Honorable Blosser will be the one that takes the follow-up question.
Yes, thank you very much, Speaker. Sibonge, Deputy Minister. Look, I think, Deputy Minister, you and I can agree that mental health is a serious condition, and it's one that we cannot just speak about. Lip service will certainly not be enough. So I'm really worried in terms of how do we measure the impact of these initiatives and programs you're talking about? How then do we see that it's really impactful on the ground? Maybe you can just share with us a few success stories if you have, and then also tell us which non-governmental mental health organization have you partnered with to ensure that, you know, they play a role as implementing agents and to ensure a wider spread of mental health awareness, especially in rural communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Minister.
No, thank you so much. I think, Honorable Member, one must appreciate that any kind of planning requires evidence-based. You don't plan a strategy without being informed by evidence. And you've got a set of various scientists, including clinicians and healthcare providers, who continuously provide service, but also some who does research. And I have said, for an example, we have partnered with Epilepsy South Africa. And in fact, there's an institution within VETS which continuously informs us on the levels of mental health, but also challenges that has to do with intellectual and neurological and psychological disorders we have in the country. Now, you are asking in terms of what leads us to this, and what is key really for us is to look at what we have been doing in the last couple of years, whether we're looking at what we conduct as a national survey that is done, and that report started being delivered from 2022. But secondly, some of the consultations we have that informs our work. We meet on a quarterly basis with various organizations as part of the National Disability Missionary, and that brings report, that brings implementation outcomes, but that is supported by various platforms and officials that are located within the office of the premiers and departments that have got disability focal people. Indeed, I must agree with you that this is not out of context. It's included and is integrated as part of our South African intersectoral coordination as work, which is in the National Action Plan in itself. So I really must say that health, mental health in this case that we are discussing, it's a big challenge that we need to focus on, and it shouldn't just be regarded as a disability-only issue. The wellness of South Africans is important, and we need to continuously deal with it and improve how people access services. Thank you.
Deputy Minister. Honorable F. Mbigo.
Ndiyabulela, Somlo. Honorable Minister, you've outlined several programs and partnerships. Beyond just listing the programs, what concrete immediate steps is your department driving to increase the number of trained mental health workers in rural districts? And are you considering increasing interventions such as state-sponsored scholarships in psychology and psychiatry who commit to serving in rural areas?
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Minister.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Member. I think we must appreciate that the service delivery and the capacity building effort is coordinated by both Department of Health and Department of Social Development. But what I can highlight for you is the work that we did as part of the intersectoral forum, the coordination to ensure that training does happen, including building capacity within the institutions. How do you equip those young people who are actually training to be providing psychosocial support? And you can imagine mental health services and support requires a range of professionals. It's not only just psychologists, it's not only just psychiatrists or even therapists for that matter, including community-based support systems that whether it's supports spaces or so forth. But that training on its own happens not only just through us, because we develop those manuals to be utilized as capacitating communities, but at the same time, it's about the National School of Government that does that, including the regional training centers that are coordinated by Department of Health and the universities that are providing these specific trainings. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Kwekana.
Thank you, Chief Whip. Based on the indication of some level of ongoing support in the specific service listed and for the areas highlighted, who or which organization are keeping records on its impact, especially in the target areas previously mentioned, and what are the overall trends for further services support identified from these areas?
Honorable Deputy Minister.
No, thank you so much, Honorable Member. Again, you have quite a number of organizations which I won't necessarily respond on their behalf, but in terms of the completed documentation of the work in terms of the impact, and I will speak to that. I think it's quite important to realize that there are a number of programs that are being implemented at the community level. Whether you're looking at access to information, education, but also to the service itself, whether through therapy, whether through ongoing psychosocial support that is taking place. So the trend, yes, we do see some of the challenges, whether people do access services once off or whether people go into accessing services ongoing until their psychosocial program is completed. We do have quite a number of challenges that we are picking up in various communities, and we must be alive to the reality of whether these services are accessible in other parts of our country or in more urban areas where people don't necessarily have a complete access to psychosocial support. So these trends do exist, but I think as part of our own planning and as part of our monitoring, we do make recommendations to departments so that they can expand and extend services to communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Ghana.
This is a proper follow-up from the original question. So the World Health Organization has classified gambling addiction as a mental disorder as part of, from the DSM-5 and ICD-11. So I want to know, we are seeing a rise in exponential rise in gambling addiction in South Africa, and you'll agree with me, it falls under the psychosocial awareness. Has your department done any awareness on the dangers of gambling addiction, especially to women and youth and people living with disabilities?
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Minister.
Thank you so much, Honorable Member. I think one thing you would appreciate is that who is coordinating the work around gambling regulatory and efforts that are led, particularly around the Department of Trade and Industry that does that work. When we collaborate with partners to raise awareness. We do collaborate with the Department of Department of Trade and Industry. But in terms of specific attention to gambling as an issue, we are not necessarily paying attention on that specific one. We will lift it because the question directly that was asked had to do with psychosocial awareness with disability. So if you want to table the issue of gambling as a disability and that requires that attention, we'll lift it in our efforts as well.
Well, I'm not sure now as to which was the actual follow-up. But anyway, let's move to the next question. That's question 1050, asked by Honorable L.L. van der Merwe to the Minister of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities. The question is about what has her department found to have been the obstacles in the implementation of the gender-responsive planning, budgeting, monitoring, evaluation, and auditing framework, and which departments are not complying with the successful implementation of the framework. Honorable Deputy Minister.
Now, well, wait. Speaker?
Order, honorable members, I've given Deputy Minister, don't try and direct one another on the floor. I have given the Deputy Minister an opportunity to respond.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's why I'm saying exactly that, honorable member. So let's allow the Deputy Minister to proceed.
No, thank you, Speaker. I think we must have that appreciation that since the approval of the gender responsive planning, budgeting, monitoring and evaluation auditing framework, and this was done in 2019, there's been significant progress really in terms of how we institutionalize the gender responsive budgeting across various departments and the state, including state-owned enterprises for that matter. But this has become an instrument, and I hope honorable members have a sense of appreciation of what it is. It's an instrument for mainstreaming the priorities of women, youth, and persons with disability. And part of planning and accountability systems is it's showing us that there's an uptake, but there's also a strengthening efforts in terms of coordination into work that is done by Treasury for that matter. National Treasury issued its first gender budget statement in 2025 as part of the national budget process. And also the Auditor General of South Africa has initiated work to integrate gender responsive auditing efforts to promote performance auditing for selected departments, ensuring that we align completely to the framework. I must say, Honorable Speaker, that various monitoring components and the report that we have produced have shown us that there's a diversity in terms of the range of capacity that exists within government departments, whether you're looking at how the integration is done properly, but how it prioritizes some of the apex targets to be delivered. The department also have assessed national, provincial, and local departments in auditing its work around the inclusion and integration of gender budgeting in its own. And I think part of this really is how we then lift some of the advances and some of the weaknesses that as part of our ongoing related. The compliance of this framework by department is driven through standardized self-assessment and center of government oversight rather than just a punitive list. And that's not necessarily what we do. We are looking at whether we are improving in our gender responsive budgeting and planning as well. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable L.L. van der Merwe, for the follow-up question.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Minister. Deputy Minister, while I hear what you are saying, the reality is that we're not going to be moving our country forward when government continues to fail in its endeavours of putting women, youth and persons with disabilities at the very centre of its planning, budgeting and implementation processes. Now, we've heard at a committee level before that often when you try to obtain reports and feedback on gender responsive budgeting from other departments, they are not forthcoming in that regard. You are blue ticked. And that is really not a status quo that can continue. So my question is, what specific actions has the Honourable Minister and Deputy Minister taken at a level of Treasury and the Presidency to ensure that there's remedial measures for departments not complying with gender responsive budgeting? And have you been able to successfully advocate for ring-fenced budgeting for women, youth and persons with disabilities within all government departments? If not, why not? If so, what are the details? I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Minister.
Thank you, Speaker, and thank you, Honourable van der Merwe. I think I must emphasize this point. There has been significant progress. We can speak about that range. If you have a department that is only really producing 13% versus others who are producing 100%. And you do have those examples and looking at the challenges of why integration has not been easy. But we do bring this report, and honorable members, I must say it to you, when we deliver a report, we just don't sit with it and publish it alone as a department. This report does go into a cabinet committee and we present the progress. This year, earlier in the year, we went to CSW to present the status of women, but as part of that is to then say, additional report that was produced was the status of youth in our country. And we go back to these departments to look at what are the pillars that they need to be delivering on and how actually the accountability and strengthening of those programs can be improved. The president actually has, and actually I don't even have to answer for him, but the president have taken action to actually request information that relates to the responsibility of all departments. And it actually even happened recently where we needed to even put out certain departments that have not delivered on the work, including those who do not respond. They have the opportunity that we've given to them in terms of come back, tell us the status quo, but also this is how you're going to remedy it. So we are doing a work and following up on those who are slowly in responding to the self-assessment. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Mbiko.
My question is a little bit similar to that of Honorable van der Merwe, but mine is structured like this. What is the minister doing to ensure that these departments comply by implementing the aspects of the framework relevant to their work? And on top of that, what is the minister doing to make them comply? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I think we must note that the 7th administration has a key priority in delivering a capable and ethical state. So all of these indicators are now integrated in our midterm development plan. So this is not just areas of just reporting and ticking evaluation form. It's based also on performance based that is monitored from presidency, from DPME. All these indicators are there, and departments are expected now to be actually reporting on these targets in terms of their reporting ability. This is really part of not only just conducting assessment, but also implementing targets that responds to that. We have cycles in terms of how we report. So we're not just going to go to departments to just evaluate every month. You've got targeted departments, provinces, including state-owned enterprises, but you also then have the indicators that guide us when we conduct the assessment itself. So we do this through annual tracking, but also in terms of focusing the evaluation that informs some of the changes that must happen. Some programs that must continue, must be strengthened and upscaled, and some that must be exited in delivering the impact work that we do. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable J.S. Peterson.
Thank you, Speaker. Deputy Minister, to what extent do resource constraints or lack of gender-separated data contribute to the persistent gaps in implementing the framework, and how does the department intend to address these deficiencies in the upcoming financial year? Thank you.
Deputy Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Peterson. We have lessons learned from this work, and we also have noted some of the constraints that exist. The policy coherence is required between the framework and also the Public Finance Management Act to remove compliance in ambiguity that exists. That's one of the lessons that we are picking up from all these reports. The second part is the limited technical capacity that is slowly uptaking in the selected pillars. So some of the capacity doesn't really exist in integrating this. The third issue that I will raise is the insufficient budget lines. It's not removed from the points of the previous honorable members. Given the limited constraints, first, even of our own department, and secondly, when you have to then monitor all other departments, you require these resources. But at the same time, we are also picking up the insufficient budgeting, insufficient funding within the various departments, which then means it constrains their own implementation. And also, if they don't have focal or warm bodies, then there's limitation in what they need to be doing to respond to the needs of people. But the public sector that we are picking up is also the question around the hiring control constraints, the appointment of champions to lead the implementation of this work. You can understand when you speak about gender responsive mainstreaming advocacy, it does need focal people, because part of this work is around transformation. Transformation will not happen just automatically. It requires us to be intentional, and it requires us to be agile and with agency in the work. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Dr. T.K.S. Letlape.
Thank you, Chair. The main thrust of the question or the theme is about responsive planning and budgeting. My question is, do departments submit their plans and show their budgets? And are those budgets ring-fenced so that they are like conditional allocations so that they can be used for the purpose they are intended for? And is there a transparent reporting visible mechanism that can be seen by all and sundry, including the public?
Honorable Deputy Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Letlape, for that question. Indeed, all departments are required to submit their plans. They are approved even by yourselves in your committees or committees that these departments belong to. It's also an opportunity for yourselves, honorable members, that you guard the integration of gender, the integration of youth, women, and persons with disability. But let me just highlight the target outcome of our monitoring that we have received when we target. So for instance, in the previous financial year, where we had 10 national departments that have received their targeted support, but also that we have received them at late submission, as Honorable Van der Merwe had raised some of the challenges we realize. But one thing that I can say is that this routine monitoring of whether there is implementation, but there is also the element of submission of these plans is done. We assess this annual performance plan, and we really are able to tell you that whether these budgets meet their target around gender responsiveness or not. And I think it's quite important to realize that Treasury is doing the same. DPME is doing the same to monitor whether the plans and the priorities are included. The 2025 gender budget statement was quite clear, and it has shifted from planning and much more to budgeting practice on its own. So we are on site on that one. Thank you.
Thank you. The last question is question 1083, asked by Honorable Apiri to the Minister of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation. The question is about the strategy and or mechanism that her department has to monitor and enhance strategic policy coordination with the private sector, since the private investment is a critical variable to achieve redistributive economic growth and lower the cost of living. Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and thank you to Honorable Apiri for the question. Of course, the NDP itself is very clear in terms of the issue of infrastructure as it relates to it being an enabler for economic growth and the role of private sector in it and the role of government itself. Now, the NDP is very clear that indeed private sector is expected to at least contribute or spend 20% of its activities in infrastructure that will equate to 20% of our GDP, whereas government is expected to actually spend or at least equate to 10% of its GDP. So as we do our monitoring and assessment of that particular activity that or intervention or program that is expected, we do that based on what the NDP has actually laid out. At the moment, what we do is that we're working with ISA as well as with Budget Facility for Infrastructure to quite look at what is the spend of government and the spending of private sector as it relates to infrastructure of our country and those programs that needs investment as it relates to that. But equally so, the president has got mechanism that he has put in place that is called government business partnerships, where private sector also comes to report on the work that they are doing as it relates to, in particular, the logistics networks and some other partnerships that are there. We have also developed a tracking system that would be speaking to the dashboard that I've spoken about in the previous questions. And this obviously is assisting us to be able to track the infrastructure spend in the country. That would also include the one of private sector. And we have recently been able to partner with Business Leadership South Africa in terms of the tracking of their own interventions and programs that they have together with government as it relates to infrastructure spend itself, most especially in the logistics networks. So that's what we are currently doing at the moment, and we do have mechanisms that are set in place to actually monitor the implementation of that particular program of infrastructure. So that's my answer for this question. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Apiri.
Thanks very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, what is measurable outcomes in relation to investment pledges or policy reforms that have resulted from the department's strategic policy coordination with the private sector, and how is this collaboration advancing the National Development Plan 2030? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
As I've already said, and I think I've partly touched upon that, we're already working with ISA on that particular program, because in our MTDP, which is the plan of or the policy plan or policy document of government as it relates to the 7th administration, which is obviously informed by the NDP itself. And I've already said that it is expected, of course, that 20% of the GDP need to be spent on infrastructure, in particular from private sector, and as well as the 10% from government. And through collaboration that departments have, in particular DTIC, as it relates to some of the industrial initiatives that are there that would speak to this particular matter in terms of policy and strategies, as well as Operation Vulindlela, as it relates to responding to programs programs and expediting some of these programs that are already in the MTDP and the new economic development framework that have been designed and adopted by Cabinet, we are actually putting in place those policies and strategies to then now be able to expedite infrastructure spend and development in our country. So those are the policy positions that are already in place to be able to deal with the issue of infrastructure development, most especially because the MTD's priority one that is anchoring the entire three priorities of the MTDP itself for the next coming 5 years. It speaks to an inclusive growth as well as job creation that is anchored in the main by infrastructure development, most especially because we have agreed that indeed infrastructure development remains then an enabler and a catalyst for economic development and growth in our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Christie.
Honourable House Chair, to the Minister, if the national government of 2008 to 2024 had not captured state-owned enterprises and SARS, hollowing them out and crippling their capacity to collect tax revenue and deliver services, would the Minister and her colleagues still be so desperate to tap into the resources of the private sector now that they've run out of money?
Well, thank you very much, Honourable Member. The main question was about the role of the department in the coordination between government and private sector. Honourable Minister.
Honourable Speaker, indeed, I'm a bit confused because this is a new question that doesn't even make sense. However, I will not be able to answer because we're supposed to be answering 2 follow-up questions that are relevant to the work that we're doing on a daily basis as it relates to this particular matter. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Mani.
Thank you. Chama. Thank you.
Order. Please give Mani a chance.
Chama.
Next to Honourable Mani.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Minister, given that the private investment continues to decline amid policy uncertainty, corruption, regulatory inconsistencies, and NDP failing to hit all the economic targets. Question, what concrete evidence can the minister present that your department's so-called strategic coordination mechanisms have actually improved investor confidence? And if none exists, how do you justify continued public expenditure on a department that monitors failure rather than correcting it? Thank you.
Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker, and thank you very much, Honourable Mani. Indeed, my answer would be that...
Order. Honourable Mani and honourable members. Honourable members, you are taking up your own time. Honourable members, order. Honourable members, please be in order. Honourable Minister, can you please answer the question?
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Thank you very much, Honourable Mani. Our job is to actually monitor and evaluate the impact of programs of government based on the MTDP and the NDP. We have, of course, acknowledged that indeed some of the aspects of the NDP hasn't actually progressed so well, and there are many reasons, of course, to that which we have responded to in many other avenues. Currently, currently I'm actually in Angola. That is why I'm not able to be there. We are meeting investors that have actually invested in South Africa as it relates to infrastructure and strategic economic development initiatives. And there is a lot of appetite from investors to actually come in South Africa to be able to continue with the work that they have been doing in the previous years. We have seen a lot of growth as it relates to the appetite that many investors, both from other governments from the East, in the South to South, global South to South, and actually in the global North as well. Even in the Eastern countries, of course, they fall under the South, the global South, that are actually saying that they are ready to come to South Africa because they are confident in the reforms that South Africa has put in place in government, and those reforms have actually started showing that there is improvement, for example, in Eskom, and there's improvement that they are seeing in Transnet, and there is actually improvement that they are seeing in South African Airways. So we are doing well as it relates to monitoring those reforms and bringing confidence into investment in South Africa. So that would be my answer to that. Our work remains to monitor performance.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Honourable Blose.
Turn off the lights in the pantry.
Honourable Susan, please mute.
Thank you, Somlom. Minister, I think you and I would know that all developed nations will develop at the back of a strong developmental direction that is led by the state. This actually includes the previous apartheid government. They uplifted their own using the state. So private sector investments can never displace the central role that must be played by the states in initiating and sustaining development projects. So we get worried when the ANC government is asking you questions that are pro-privatization and pro-white monopoly capital. So I want to just correctly redirect this question, Minister. What state-led growth initiatives are there which will ensure that there's economic equality in this country and that there's redistributive growth to ensure the participation of our previously marginalized people? Thank you very much.
Honourable Minister.
I have responded to that strategically. If you want to talk about development, I've realized that indeed there is a confusion because sometimes people think development only speak to social development, whereas development is also economic. And in every development, as it relates to the strategy that many countries have actually spoken to or dealt with, including countries like China, they have actually brought in the participation of private sector in anchoring some of those developmental programs that they have, because you need economic development that is commercially viable to be able to get green shoot that would give you the returns that would allow you to actually fund your developmental agendas, whether those developmental agendas are actually social or economic in nature. So you can never be able to actually have a successful development agenda if you don't then now open up, most especially in infrastructure, to private sector. Everywhere you can go, you can do your analysis, you can do your research. It will always tell you that public sector participation, not takeover, because takeover will never work, but participation becomes good. Now, what are some of those examples that I can give? If you can look at the N4, which is the N4 corridor from South Africa to Maputo, it shows you that private sector participation that have actually made that particular corridor to be economic as it is, has spoken to developmental agenda that we are actually pushing as South Africa and as government. We had concessions that were put in place, which was the build, operate and transfer. Transfer of the asset is actually happening now back to the state because private sector has played its role. Now it's time to transfer back to the state itself. We have seen engineers actually coming out of that particular program, and a lot of economic programs that actually came out of that. That includes trans-border economic development. So there is a lot of work that is already done, and we know, and we actually spoken about those particular examples. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister, for your responses. And I must say that, interestingly, Minister of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation, I didn't hear much of the complaint that you are virtual. Actually, more members wanted to see your face from the beginning, including Honorable Bergman. And now I don't know what happened when Manye came. I heard the ululations, but thank you very much, Minister, for availing yourself. This brings us to the end of our session. Can you please rise and allow the Speaker to leave the House?
Recording in progress.